Shipwreck by Richard Platt, Part 2. One summer day in 1545, England's king, Henry VIII, stood watching his navy in the Solent, a sheltered channel in the south coast of Britain. The fleet, which included the second largest ship in the navy, the Mary Rose, was setting sail to fight invading French ships. It should have been a simple, well-rehearsed routine, but on this day, it was not. A breeze probably filled the sails before they were in place, and the Mary Rose heeled, or tilted. When the lowest row of gun ports dipped below the water, the ship was doomed. The sea rushed in, sinking the Mary Rose and drowning more than 650 sailors and soldiers, including the officer in command, Sir George Carew. Within minutes, only the top masts of this great ship were visible. What you see here is the ship and a reproduction of it, along with a little bit of other interesting stuff. British shipwrecks. Britain's links with the sea are ancient. Nowhere in Britain is further than 73 miles from the sea. It's a big island. Britain's coastal waters are treacherous, however, even for mariners who know them well. Jagged rocks and sucking sandbanks guard the shoreline. Some of the highest tides in the world wash the country's ports. Learning to escape these hazards made British sailors among the world's best. And by the 18th century, Great Britain was a powerful maritime nation. A popular song written in 1740 even claimed that Britannia rules the waves. But no nation, however great, can ever really control the awesome power of the oceans. And British mariners knew they risked shipwreck on every trip. Some other things that have been found in shipwrecks. Look at this bottle. They ate with metal plates because they didn't want to deal with the broken. That would how they would get brokenness they would get with porcelain. See this ship here? The wrecking of the iron-hulled passenger and cargo ship Royal Charter, this one, occurred in October of 1859. The ship had just made a record run from Australia to Britain, but she could not compete with strong winds off the Welsh island of Ainsley, which caused the ship to drift into the rocks. One seaman swam ashore with a rescue line, but a huge wave broke off the stern of the ship where most of the passengers were sheltering. Some of the 459 people who died in the wreck drowned because they jumped overboard wearing money bags full of gold nuggets. Gold is very, very heavy. Jumping overboard with a pocket full of gold is not going to help you to float. Now, Douro, coffee, diamonds, and gold filled the hold of the mail ship Douro as she steamed from South America to Britain in 1882. On April 1st, just 2 days away from her destination, a collision with a Spanish vessel put a hole in the Douro. Most of the passengers and crew escaped in the lifeboats, but her precious cargo sank 1,500 feet to the bottom of the Bay of Biscay off Portugal's coast. The wreck of the Armada. Spanish people felt sure of victory when their navy set off to invade England in May of 1588. They called the 130 warships the Armada Invincible, the unbeatable war fleet. When the ships reached England, however, the Armada's weapons could not match the cannons of the English fleet, and drifting fire ships, vessels deliberately set on fire, forced the Spanish ships to scatter. Gales blew the Spaniards north and prevented them from picking up reinforcements. The Armada had to return to Spain by sailing around Ireland, where storms wrecked nearly 30 ships on the Atlantic coast. 4 centuries later, archaeologists have excavated 5 of the wrecks. From gold trinkets and ordinary items such as rigging, they are learning more about the ill-fated Armada and the lives of the 11,000 Spanish sailors who perished around British shores. Here we have a map, as was believed at that time to be the world. Mariners know that their voyage is always in danger of ending suddenly if they are shipwrecked. But for the crew of the Vasa, the end came almost as soon as their vessel was launched. This magnificent sailing ship was to be the pride of the Swedish Navy. On August 10th, 1628, the Vasa set out across the Stockholm harbor on her maiden voyage. Shortly after the crew had raised the sails and the ship had traveled just 5,625 feet, a gust of wind blew the ship over. Within minutes, the Vasa sank in 110 feet of water. 3 centuries later, archaeologists turned this tragedy into triumph. The wreck they raised in 1961 is the most complete example of a 17th century Navy vessel ever discovered. So here we have an image of what the Vasa would have looked like. And here we have the Vasa after it was raised. Here's a little bit more. Must be very exciting to be able to raise a shipwreck. And the Titanic. You knew this was coming. Icebergs make the North Atlantic a fearsome obstacle course in the spring. Some icebergs tower as high as large office buildings above passing ships. But 9 times as much ice floats unseen below the surface of the sea. Passengers on the Titanic's maiden voyage in April of 1912 had no reason to fear icebergs. Everyone thought that the Titanic was the safest ocean liner in the world. It was certainly the largest and most luxurious. Sadly, it was not unsinkable, as the passengers believed. During the night of April 14th to 15th, an iceberg buckled the hull of the Titanic below the waterline. Seawater rushed in and the ship sunk in less than 3 hours. More than 1,500 people died in the world's most notorious shipwreck. There's a picture of the Titanic. That's a more modern rendering, drawing of it. Here's an actual photograph of what it looked like. And here's what it looks like now, underwater. One of the good things to come out of this wreck is that it became the law in all countries that you had to have enough lifeboats on any ship for all the passengers. And many lives have been saved as a result of that. Please join us again tomorrow and we'll learn a little bit more about shipwrecks.